Christopher, what is today's poll question today?
All right, go to Rich Eisen Show on Twitter to vote, inspired by our next guest, Albert Breer. What's your take on participation trophies? No harm, keep them. They suck, destroy them. Don't care about them.
Yeah, I mean, again, the poll question brought to you by Man versus Food. It could really be brought to you by Breer versus Trophy, as we saw on his Twitter feed before. Daniel Jones of the Giants calls in from this segment, and then we will take your calls at 844-204-RICH. Some folks want to chime in on the shift as well that we started our show with, but we shift our way to Albert Breer of MMQB.com. How are you, Albert?
I'm good. How you doing, Rich?
All right, we've all placed our wagers on whether you really did snap your child's participation trophy from baseball in half, or made this a statement on how you actually felt about a trophy that fell apart on its own. Albert, you have the floor.
Well, I mean, maybe when he's 9 or 10 or 13 or 14, maybe I'll have some stronger feelings on this. But the kid's 4. And so this is his first T-ball season.
Yes.
This was his very first trophy.
Okay.
Right? This is his very first trophy.
So he's fired up.
And
he's fired up then.
Yeah. So he gets it on Saturday. The season ends. He gets it on Saturday. And, I've got a 2-year-old boy, too. And so, of course, the 2-year-old steals the 4-year-old's trophy, drops it. It snaps in half, right? Okay, so me and my wife, the 4-year-old wasn't upset about it, but me and my wife, my wife grabs the trophy and she gets some glue and she's got it on, this paper plate like you would when you're gluing anything together. And I see it, and I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, oh, well, Drew snapped Steve's trophy. And so I said, hold on. She said, watch this. And I took a picture of it, and I put it up on Instagram. And, when you're on Instagram, you always have the option there to, simul post it on other social media.
Yes.
And so I was like, well, let's see how Twitter would react. And so I hit the little Twitter button, and I thought, Rich, hashtagging. There were 2 hashtags on the Instagram post. One got cut off there, but 2 hashtags on the Instagram post. One said play like a champion. The other said Father of the Year. Now, I figured play like a champion, right, in reference to a T-ball trophy, would, tip this off as being sarcastic. And just in case it didn't, I threw Father of the Year on there, too, to make sure people would get the joke. But, sometimes, I will say this, sometimes there are people out there that may be looking for this sort of thing from people and tend to be a little over aggressive in pursuing it when it gets up there. So my 4-year-old will be the glue, by the way, didn't work. Just so you know, Rich, there's an update for you. The glue didn't work, so I had to go buy some epoxy. We'll see if that works or not. We have been in touch with the coach, too.
Okay.
So we're trying to figure out if they have extra trophies.
Okay, it's funny, Albert, that you say that a trophy broke and the epoxy will have to work. Is I have right here, because I brought in here figuring that epoxy would be in my show studio, I have right here broken into 2 pieces my daughter's participation trophy from soccer that is here in pieces right here on the Rich Eisen Show for Taylor Eisen for her Electric Bees championship. Well, it's not, and I want to point this out too, it doesn't say champion, does it, Chris? Right? And you'd think that here in Los Angeles, we're softer people than the folks up there in New England with Breer. Sure. Why does it say champions on your kid's T-ball trophy, Albert?
I thought that was interesting, too. I didn't actually notice that until after I put this up.
Yeah.
As far as I knew, they didn't keep score, which I guess we can discuss the merits of that, too. But I don't think that they keep score with the 4 and the 5 and the 6-year-olds. And so... I guess. I mean, he technically could have been the champion. I just can't verify it because I didn't see any scorekeeping there.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm with you. At age 4, 5, and 6, youth sports, even 7, you got to make sure that they have fun. But around 8, we give the kids plaques in pony baseball out here. So, they got their photograph, and there's the team photograph, and it's a plaque. So it's not really it's not a trophy, you know what I mean? But at some point, you do have to teach about winning and losing. I hear you.
Well, yeah, no, I absolutely agree with that. I think I honestly, if we're going to be serious about this,
go for it.
I think the best lessons that sports teach you and we all played at some level growing up. I think the best lessons sports teach you aren't how to win, it's how to lose and how to deal with failure. And so that's why if we want to talk about keeping score and the rest of it, you'd hate to see those lessons taken away from kids because, eventually you're going to fail in life and you got to learn how to deal with that. And I think that, learning how to deal with a loss at 8 or 9 or 10 years old is a good way to try to get you ready for what you're going to face later in life.
I agree.
So there you go.
I agree. Albert, I absolutely agree with you. But if you don't mind me saying, it's only fitting that you would say what you said because personally, I think you need some lessons on how to win, Albert. I think that lesson wasn't learned as a child by you, Albert, quite frankly.
That's a fair point, Rich. Hey, but I heard things are actually looking up in baseball there for you, right?
Well, have you noticed Michigan is in the semifinals of the College World Series?
Not bad, right?
Not bad.
Absolutely.
I would say that's not
well,
bad.
Way to carry the banner for the rest of the conference. I do appreciate that.
You got it, Albert. We got you on baseball and basketball too. So look, before I let you go, I've got Daniel Jones calling in shortly from the Giants. Yep. What can you interpret Pat Shurmur's comments when they broke for the summer about the quarterback scenario there, Albert?
Yeah. Here's what I would tell you. I think the locker room always knows, right? The locker room always knows who the best player is. And, especially at that position, if the best player isn't playing, it can be a problem for you. And it's because guys at other positions are told the best player is going to play. And, if you're not doing that at the most important position, it becomes hard to sell it elsewhere. And so, I think part of Pat Shurmur's intention here was to make sure that people knew that, that the best quarterback was going to play. And I think it is an affirmation that Daniel Jones had a good 5 or 6 weeks after the draft and has put himself in the position to compete for a starting quarterback job. Here's the other thing, Rich. History tells us that guy's going to play sooner rather than later. If you want to look at the history, really over the last 10 years, almost always a first-round quarterback gets into real game action as a rookie. And so, you can go through all the different guys, whether it was Blake Bortles a few years ago, more recently, Derek Carr. There are other guys. There are a bunch of guys who, were out there as guys who are quote-unquote going to be redshirted, and it didn't happen. And so I think at the very least, you can interpret Pat Shurmur's comments as saying, well, Daniel Jones had a really strong spring. Everybody in the locker room sees it. And so we've got to give him a chance to compete, just like we would give anyone in any other position a chance to compete.
Yeah, that's the way I viewed it, too. And also you got a guy in Eli who's like a Hall of Fame-er and a Hall of Fame individual. And honestly, everyone wants an answer right now and wants to get the answer right now. And Daniel Jones could wind up being absolutely fantastic at the gig.
Right.
And that's going to be, I was saying this for years, Albert, toughest job in New York City was who's going to be the closer and shortstop after Rivera and Jeter. And that has gone a little bit more swimmingly than I thought, whatever. And whoever follows Eli, because Eli answers the bell every time, and he's got 2 rings.
Yep.
You know?
And I think I think what's interesting about it to me, too, is by no fault of his own, Daniel Jones has dealt with a really difficult situation right off the bat, right? The jokes and all of the different stuff coming out of the draft, right? And Gettleman took his hits, but Daniel Jones kind of got caught in the crossfire there. I think what's really interesting about it is all that pressure you're talking about there, Daniel Jones, by no fault of his own, had to deal with a lot of that right away, had to deal with people talking about him a certain way right away. And so, I would think that should serve him well going forward, even if it wasn't comfortable over the last 5 or 6 weeks to hear some of the things people were saying about him.
Albert, I knew you didn't break that trophy. Thanks for the call.
All right, thanks, Rich. I appreciate your faith in me.
You got it. That's Albert Breer. It's for the MMQB, MMQB.com. The MMQB.com, and at Albert Breer on Twitter.
For more of The Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV for free on BR Live or download the Rich Eisen Show app.